QAnon, the mysterious group, was investigated by the FBI. This came after a very stern warning to lawmakers that they should be worried about dangerous violent attacks. And so this was the letter that got sent over to Congress. You see, this was some time ago, June 4th, 2021, and it's unclassified now. And so I'm sure they're still watching this and still investigating this. And they probably have a whole team of people over there sitting around on their laptops, browsing around the chans. But here's what they told Congress from the FBI. Adherence to the QAnon conspiracy theory is being done by some domestic violent extremists, which I think means everybody now. The information in this product is provided for informational purposes only. The participation of some DVEs who are self-identified QAnoners were a part of the violent siege on the Capitol. And it underscores how the current environment, remember this is in June, will continue to act as a catalyst to begin accepting legitimacy of violent action. Now, what is QAnon, you're wondering? Well, according to the FBI, it refers to a complex and constantly evolving conspiracy theory, which means it's just really hard to define, so they can make it whatever they want, because it's constantly evolving, and it's a conspiracy theory, and it's promoted by a decentralized online community, all right? So they can't pin it on anybody, and it has morphed into a real-world movement. Wow, so they told us a lot about it. It's complex and constantly evolving. I mean, it's very hard to define, and it can't mean anything, so therefore it can mean everything. Its foundational principle holds that a corrupt cabal of global elites and deep state actors run a Satan-worshipping international child sex trafficking ring. I mean, I think a lot of that's true, isn't it? The heck was Jeffrey Epstein doing? Pretty sure that's all accurate. I don't know what the problem is here. And they engaged in plots to conduct a coup against a former president of the United States while he was in office. Oh, you mean like the FBI? And the big tech companies? That sounds pretty right. I think we're right on the money. I don't know what's happening here. I think they wrote an article in Time magazine about it. A group of elites. Yeah. And you have people like Reid Hoffman, who is a billionaire, who went and founded groups to stop Donald Trump, who spent millions of dollars, who funds litigation from E. Jean Carroll that we all doubt is legitimate. We all saw that he went and visited Epstein Island after Epstein was convicted of all of this stuff. And that's just one example of many. So all of this seems to be fact. All right. These alleged crimes by members of the cabal will allegedly be punished by their mass military detention in Guantanamo Bay. Well, that sounds, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Doesn't sound like a bad solution, though. QAnon narratives are constantly expanding to include false information about current events. Again, I'm waiting for some, including alleged election frauds, the COVID-19 pandemic, the dangers of 5G technology, and then woven into a master narrative that's in control. The FBI has arrested more than 20 self-identified QAnon adherents who participated on January 6. All right. They were charged with violent entry and disorderly conduct. They grabbed their social media posts. They began sharing information. On January 7th, the FBI arrested another DVE and QAnon adherent, and so on. All right, so you get the point. This was prepared by the FBI. And in 2021, they said, we assessed that some DVE, domestic violent adherents of QAnon, likely will begin to believe that they no longer can trust the plan referenced in QAnon posts, and that they have an obligation to change from serving as digital soldiers towards engaging in the real world. And they're going to get out there and they're going to harm perceived members of the cabal, like Democrats. They're going to get out there and harm Democrats. Yeah, that's what's happening right now in the cities. QAnoners are attacking and pushing people onto subways on the cities. Exactly what's happening, right? Other QAnon adherents will likely disengage from the movement and so on. And so be prepared, Congress, for the QAnoners. All right. So that's what they sent back in 2021. And now this is a great FOIA that came out from this fella over at the Black Vault. Name is John Greenwald. Submitted this Freedom of Information Act request over from the Black Vault. And so shout out to John Greenwald and the Black Vault for digging this out for us to enjoy. This came from the FBI, received May 18th or sent May 18th, the subject, QAnon. Here's what they say. Dear Mr. Greenwald, the FBI has completed its review of your FOIA request, and here is some of the documents we think are responsive. Some of the other materials you are not going to get. Sincerely, your friend, Joseph. They give us some details on how FOIAs are processed and what some of the redactions are. So if we see big blanked out things, one of the more common ones we see is redacted because B6, personnel, medical files, and B7s are going to be the records for law enforcement purposes. So they're going to redact some stuff out. They're just giving us the codes. This document came from the amazing people over at theblackvault.com. Now here's what we've got. Looks like a report coming from the FBI, dated October 24th, 2018. Case ID, redacted, involving an unaffiliated bombing matter. Uh-oh, what happened here? On October 24, 2018, this is an FBI agent, I presume, is writing. He starts typing away. Eastern time, so-and-so email address, telephone number, and other things says, this came in. We got this email that came into a public online tip line. Here's what the submitted text said on the form. I felt compelled to call about the devices found today in New York. The cult, known as QAnon, posted in their rabbit hole that there would be these booms coming to take down the deep state players and the lying media. That is exactly what we're seeing today. And then we see a bunch of redactions here. We don't really know who submitted that form. I don't know if it was a concerned citizen or if it was an FBI agent, don't know. But they continue. And according to an open source website, they say QAnon is a right-wing conspiracy group. And someone is using the handle Q, claiming to have access to classified information involving the Trump administration and its opponents in the United States. The theory details a supposed secret conspiracy by an alleged deep state against Trump and Hollywood actors and others. It's characterized and supported by Donald Trump. Its proponents have been called a deranged conspiracy cult. FBI continues. So-and-so lives in blank and promotes a group called QAnon. Don't know who they're talking about. They go and they interview this person. All of this is redacted. B6 and B7, as we mentioned. Personnel and law enforcement details. Can't see it. They tell us who he is, and he's just an avid follower of QAnon. Redacted. Nothing more on that one. Now here we have another report. On August 2nd, 2018, FBI New York received information that QAnon, an unidentified internet figure, was asserting to be a high-level federal official with a security clearance, disseminating classified information on 4chan and 8chan. FBI says QAnon purports to be a highly placed federal official with a Q clearance and access to the president. QAnon purports that there is a conspiracy amongst various law enforcement agencies to overthrow the president. QAnon further states that many current and former members are involved in rings that are problematic. QAnon supporters have shown up to rallies wearing commercially available QAnon clothing. Some have posted pictures in various areas. Other people have been involved in standoffs with police. But QAnon has not publicly revealed their identity, according to the FBI. It is unknown whether QAnon is actually affiliated with the US government. This is from the FBI. Also unknown whether QAnon is profiting off the assertion that they are a government employee. Assistant US Attorney Redacted, no names on that, and Redacted, no name on that one, concurred with the opening of this investigation. So two lawyers thought it was worthy for the FBI to dig into this. More redactions, B6, B7, B5. Based on the actual supplied information in this report, there is an articulable factual basis to believe that an activity constituting a federal crime has or may have occurred. It may or may be occurring. If QAnon is an actual federal informant or is a federal employee who has access to the president, this could be like a Pentagon Papers leak. This could be like a Jack Teixeira thing. FBI's got to get involved, right? Or will or may occur, and the investigation may obtain information of intelligence relating to the activity or the involvement or the role of an individual, a group, an org. Therefore, it's requested that a preliminary investigation be approved. And our plan for a preliminary investigation is grand jury subpoenas, interviews, financial record reviews, employing other investigative methods as appropriate. They say special agents redacted and redacted are going to be assigned as the case agents. And this is more documentation about the opening of the file. They say that New York office is now, because we've gone through this procedure where they get a report, an anonymous report, goes over to some U.S. attorneys, goes over to some FBI agents. They review the report. They go around on Wikipedia. They say, oh, cute. And then they turn around and request enough. They say there's enough articulable there that a crime may be committed. Let's investigate. New York office is now opening a preliminary investigation into QAnon, an online persona purporting to be a high-placed public official. On August 2nd, 2018, the FBI New York field office received a referral that QAnon was purporting to be a highly placed government employee disseminating classified info. And so U.S. attorneys redacted and redacted concurred with the opening of this investigation to do the following redacted. The point of contact is this agent at this phone number. Now here's more of the report. Look at all these redactions. Woo! Don't you just hate it a lot? I do. On August 14, 2018, FBI New York received open source information. Don't know where that came from. That so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so redacted. Searches were conducted with open source resources like this, and the following information was obtained via those searches. Redacted, 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 redacted. They got somebody though. You see this? Who are they looking at? Oh, we got a social security number. Redacted. Date of birth. Redacted. Address and phone numbers. But the investigation is conducted in New York in person, and we get more details. FBI says that FBI New York attempted to identify the person behind the online persona QAnon by issuing a subpoena that is redacted. Can't see anything. Who is this person? They tell us that they had sufficient personnel and available resources. They completed the investigation. All techniques and methods have been completed or discontinued. The investigative leads did not come up. No leads came up. No evidence was collected during the investigation. And it's just being closed administratively. No criminal subject was identified after logical and reasonable preliminary investigation. U.S. Attorney so-and-so concurred with the closing. Nothing came of it. Now, the preliminary investigation was open on August 17th based on allegations that somebody's posing as a federal official and potentially profiting off their false personation. FBI has taken all logical steps warranted by the situation. FBI New York attempted to identify the person behind the persona by subpoenaing somebody redacted for B3, B5. FBI New York requesting to close the investigation. FBI New York will reopen the investigation should new actionable information be present. At this point, contact this other agent if you know more. That's opening up a subfile. Telephone pen register data to get some phone information. They're tracking phones now. Date of birth, cellular telephone number is this number, address is this number. This is on another date. This fast forward 2019. So-and-so called the FBI Threat Operations Center. Somebody now is calling, not a form submitted. And they're saying with concern that so-and-so, 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 so-and-so has become involved in the conspiracy group called QAnon. And the caller provided the following information that has been redacted. On January 13, 2019, similar call comes in, and we find nothing further in terms of details. And so this synopsis is now closed. We have a confidential human source information. This is from January 2nd, 2019, interstate threatening communications by somebody. Threatening communications is a tip. This came in from a CHS, it looks like. Information contained in this document pertains to a highly sensitive intelligence source. I wonder who this is. Recipients are cautioned to avoid taking any action based on this information that could compromise the source without prior contact with FBI. Synopsis, all redacted, obviously. Enclosed are the following items: redacted, redacted, redacted. So they've got somebody embedded somewhere, and what he is providing, we don't know, but it certainly looks like they don't have details on who is behind Q. They had an initial thought. Seems like they issued some subpoenas. They got some cell phone records. They may have gone and visited somebody. People are calling in on public tip lines and submitting public forms, but we are not seeing any details of any criminal charges or any real fire or inkling that they know who this person is. So the FBI will very likely continue to spin their wheels, as they often do in most things they investigate. But as it stands now, QAnon seems to be outside the radar of the FBI. So guess we'll wait and see. They'll have to keep tracking away.